Hi, I'm Ingrid. I'm one of the support accountants at FreeAgent, and today I'm going to show you or give you a journey through FreeAgent, showing some of our great time-saving and automation features within the system. I'm going to take you through all the way from creating an estimate and through to the very end of getting paid. So the scenario being a prospective customer has been in touch and asked you to provide an estimate for new work. So that's great. So to create an estimate is from either you can do it from work estimates, that's the easiest way I find, and then to click on here in the green box to the top right hand corner, add new estimate. So we'll click on there and it brings up another page called new estimate. So you just literally just go through the on-screen instructions, filling everything through. And it defaults to the last contact that I dealt with, so I'll just leave it as client A. And it brings up a reference number here, and you can override that if you wanted to make it something more relevant. So I'm just going to backspace on there and put a nice space in there, estimate 1. Now it defaults to today as well, and you can change that in the calendar if you want to, just on here. It also defaults to pounds sterling, which is the base currency on the account, my Ingrid Support Limited account. So I'm based in the UK and it's in pounds sterling. Now the additional text box, that's optional. If you wanted to put some default text in there, you can. And you can also set something in here which will pull through rather than having to manually type things out all the time. Because today is all about trying to save you time doing your bookkeeping in FreeAgent, so it frees you up to do more stuff on your business. So we'll just follow through and go create new estimate. And this brings you through to the shell of the estimates and draft status, and it's now asking you to add some items. Now the options you've got is to click on here where it says add an estimate item, and then build up the estimate using the drop down here, like including products or services, etc. Or a quicker automated way of doing it is to actually select things from the price list. And I created these. I'll just show you how I set these up. I went into settings, top right hand corner, and then price list and stock. And I added these here, and I can then pull them through onto an estimate to save me time having to type them in each time. Just go back a couple of pages. Right, there we go. There's the estimate. And I'm going to click on add estimate item, and I'm going to select some from the price list. So let's just pull those through. So design and print, and we'll leave that in. That's fine. We'll add a couple more. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm just building up I'll make that 10 actually. I'm just building up the estimate using the price list. So it's a way to do it quickly, and that looks fine as well. Website, and we'll make that just 1. And we'll make that a service. Create and finish. So there we go. That's a nice looking estimate. If you wanted to at this point change the layout of it, you've got some options under more and then change theme, but I'm happy with how it's looking currently. So another option is to go back to work estimates if you don't want to build it from scratch and just duplicate an existing one. So what we could do is if we click on this one here, that's been approved, and all I do is click on more on the drop down and then duplicate estimate. So it's just literally going to copy and paste everything and give it a new number obviously, but that's another quick way of doing it. So when the customer calls you up and says that it's all okay to approve, you can then do that by clicking on here. This is the next step, so mark as approved. Just click on that one there. And of course the next step now is to actually do the work, because the estimate's been approved and now it's time to commence work. So we can help you with that by tracking it using projects. Now you can create a project from an estimate by simply clicking on more to the top right hand corner here, and in the drop down it says create project from estimate, and you just call it the project name. So we'll just call it website. Now you've got the option here to either create projects and tasks or to just create the project. And what it's going to do is it's going to create a brand new project and convert these items here on the estimate into tasks. Now you can set hourly or daily billing rates for these, and you can make them billable or unbillable. So let's just do this one at the top there, and we're going to call the billing rate, let's just put in a random figure of say £50 per hour and go create. And now that takes me through to the project here called website. And the great thing about projects is it's giving you all these options to track all the expenses and time and tasks, etc., against a particular project, and then look at the mini profitability, if you like, on that particular project. And you can see also that it ties in with the invoices and expenses and time. Now, a great thing as well, saving you time and automating things, is if you are wanting to create timesheets and you're out and about on the go, perhaps at a client's site, what you could do is use FreeAgent Mobile. What you would do is you just flip through to FreeAgent on your browser, and it automatically recognizes that you are on a mobile. And from here, you can actually create timesheets and then track your time. And again, it just links them through to the project, and it's a really quick way of doing things. Now, when you create an invoice at this point, you've got two options available. They're two time-saving options. You could either convert the estimate into an invoice, that's one option, or you could start it from scratch and then pull through all the expenses and your timesheets that you've been tracking to pull through onto an invoice and your estimate as well. So let's just do this for now. So if we convert that to an invoice, and you can see it now generates invoice 126 with the information that's sitting on here. And what you can do at this point is if you wanted to edit it, you can by just clicking on these and making adjustments. And you can also change the prices if you wanted to before you send it on to the customer or client. So either way, you can still link your invoice directly back onto the original estimate. Now I'm just going to go back to work and then invoicing. And I want to actually create a new invoice. I want to pull through the information that was against that project I briefly showed you earlier. Add new invoice. Client A website. And actually, I just wanted to mention as well, as far as the client paying you at the end of the day, FreeAgent does give you some options to use our online payment portal options. I don't know if you've heard of these or not. Obviously, PayPal is one that's more common, but certainly Go Cardless and Stripe are worth considering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tick these boxes on the invoice, and it just gives them the option rather than say paying through a check or backs, etc. You're giving your client more options to actually pay you. So it's a very nifty feature within the system. And this is the bit that I was talking about. If you wanted to convert your estimate and pull through time tracking and expenses, this is where you do it. So let's just do that per time slip. And do them on separate lines on there and create new. Okay, so that's pulling through the information. And again, at this point, you can edit any of these or delete them to make it more, more meaningful to the customer before you send it. Well, before we move on any further, I think we need to look at actually then sending it on to the customer. And again, this is the option just to mark it from a draft status to a live status within FreeAgent. But if you want to then physically send it on to a customer, then it's what you'd use here is send by email. And it takes you through to this template here. And this is linked to settings, top right-hand corner, and then email templates. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the templates because, again, you can automate these to go out when you want them to. And there's options for email templates for invoicing, reminders, and thank yous as well. But you need to tick the box per invoice, and these templates are generic and they apply to all invoices that have got that box ticked on them. So you can see you've got some options here to copy and paste the email tags to the right-hand side. You can bold certain things and italicize them, bullet points, etc. And for those of you that are a bit more web savvy, you've got the option to switch to HTML by doing that. And the great thing about that is you can embed images and stuff to make it look professional. And while we're looking at the templates, let's also now move on to reminders. And just click on that as well. Now you can set up as many of these as you like. I've set one up already to chase the invoice within 7 days. So I'll just show you how that looks. We click on there. And it's got some reminder rules to then say you want to chase it after 7 days. Now you could actually do this so that there's one that goes out after 7 days and another one that's perhaps a little more strongly worded, shall we say, after 14 days, etc. There's also options to tick the box here, email a copy to sender. And you've got the option to select the person for it to come from. And a lot of businesses use something very generic, like accounts@yourbusiness.com rather than a person. So that's another little tip. And the thank yous, that's where you'd set those up as well. It's very straightforward. And at this point, you can also attach a file if you wanted to. It's just all under settings, top right-hand corner. If we go back to the invoicing, so work invoicing, one of the things as well to automate your invoicing within FreeAgent is there's the option to create a recurring invoice. So let's just click on, say, one of these. And all you would do is to go to more top right-hand corner and then create a recurring profile from this invoice. What that does is it gives you some options to look at the frequency. So you could do that weekly. You can see there's ones that go through to quarterly, annually, biannually, etc. And then here, there's a little calendar to the right, which you can then say put an end date on it or leave it open if it's to go on for quite some time. All right, I want to look at the online payment options, and I mentioned them earlier. By creating the invoice, you've got the option to tick that box. What I did earlier is I sent the email to myself. So if we just go into my inbox, you'll see, let's say, for example, I'm the customer now. You've sent me your invoice. Work's been approved, everything, and it's now ready to pay. The email looks a bit like this, and there's a payment portal link that you then click on, and it generates a page that looks like this. So when you click on the Pay Now button, the three options, because I ticked the GoCardless, Stripe and PayPal functionality, it's given me the three options. You can limit this down to one if you wanted to, that's up to you. And there are, again, step-by-step instructions telling you how to set all this up on our knowledge base. So for this one here, which is GoCardless, I'll just show you what happens, because I think it's important to look at it from the client perspective, what your client is going to see when you send them this information. So they fill all this out. And back to Stripe. This is a relatively new feature that we've enabled in FreeAgent, and it means that clients can now pay using a credit card, which is great. And PayPal, fairly self-explanatory. That just means they can log into their own account. And we have had a great response from customers about this because it helps them get paid faster, and the process is automated, saving time. Okay, so we're now going to presume that the client is happy with everything. They've gone and paid you through the payment portal link that you've then provided them with. So that's all great. And then through banking, obviously, you're going to then see that money appear in your bank account. What if the client hasn't paid you? What you would do is you set up the automatic reminders that we talked about earlier, and the FreeAgent will continue to send these out until you've gone and uploaded your transaction and explained it against the invoice. So these are, until you tell it otherwise, it's going to automate that process. Now, you'll know that the invoice is outstanding if you've opted for our Monday Motivator emails. They're just giving you a heads up of how things are going, and it's just rather than you having to go to, say, accounting reports and then age debtors to try and find out, where things are at. The Monday Motivator does all that for you. But that's another way to find out how things are going and who owes you money. Once you do get the money in, let's go to banking. And I really want to just very quickly talk about automated bank feeds. Now, we've recently rolled out MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. This is the bank feeds with the login where you've got the password that is random. It chooses numbers and digits from your password. So we've just recently enabled the likes of HSBC and Santander. And all you do is just follow the on-screen instructions on our knowledge base telling you how to set those up. But as you can see, I've got one here currently on the current account with Lloyd's, and you can see to the top right it's saying that it's last imported with the next import. So some transactions have already appeared in my bank account. It's saving me from having to either manually create transactions by doing it this way or manually uploading bank statements from my online banking. So let's just click on here, total unexplained, and I've got some figures with this transaction here. There's £10,000 which I have received from client A. So what I need to do to stop the automated reminders going out is to now record that against an invoice. Now, the 10 grand actually relates to a couple of invoices, and we do get asked this from time to time. How do I split it? What you would do is you'd explain the 10 grand as an invoice receipt against, say, this invoice here, the next one down in the drop down. And I'm going to change that figure from £10,000 to 5,300. I don't want to overpay an invoice. I need to split the transaction. And then what the system automatically does is it creates the other side for you to then explain against another invoice. So by doing that, because invoice 101 has since been paid, the reminders have stopped. And if I ticked the box earlier saying send an automated reminder out as a thank you, that will now trigger. And also just to let you know that the reminders and the thank yous, you can't do those manually. They are automated by the system. Okay, so this journey has taken you all the way from estimates to receiving payment and showing you some time-saving features along the way. Of course, the system does do other things as well. I've not got time to go into those, but obviously if you're VAT registered, for example, the system does the calculations for you. It obviously generates information on your accounting, profit and loss, and the balance sheet and so on. So there's lots of other things that it does, but really all I'm doing today is to try and help you on the day-to-day stuff to help the workflow and make things easier. But look, thank you very much for sharing part of your afternoon with us, and I hope what I've shown you today is of some help, and please feel free to contact us on freeagent.com, click on the support tab, and there are contact details if you have any further inquiries. Thanks very much, and bye for now.